150 applications indeed were received by the panel. That was a good thing in some ways. I mean, it wouldn't have been great if we'd only got 3, say, but 150, ooh, that was a lot of paper. It was a remarkable journey for the panel to get from there, those initial 150 responses to what you will see today. Simply could not have happened without the expert, tough but fair chairing of the chair of the panel. Tough in a couple of ways, both the sheer amount and breadth of material we had to get through, and also my fellow panellists. When you meet us later, we're a pretty unruly bunch, let's be honest, but she got us there. We should thank her today, and she's going to say a couple of words. The chair of the Medical Devices Fund expert panel, please welcome Professor Mary O'Kane.
Thank you, Adam. And in just making a couple of remarks, I too would like to acknowledge the Indigenous and traditional owners of the land and thank Uncle Alan for a most inspiring start to today. It really was magnificent. The first thing I'd like to say after that is that I'd like to congratulate the Minister. She just embarrassed me and my colleagues. I want to embarrass her. This is a most unusual fund. You hear a lot about, around the world, about funds that help commercialisation of medical devices. This one's different. It's maybe subtle, but it's very important. That the instructions we had from the Minister were that this is about building the next Cochlear, or on the way, the next ResMed. That this is not about spreading money thinly to do a lot of good things. It is about New South Wales having an even larger, more globally impressive medical devices industry that actually would have direct benefits to those of us in New South Wales, not just economic, but we'd be the guinea pigs where the devices would be first tested. That was a very clear and very unusual mandate at the moment when you look around government funds. And I, therefore, was inspired to be part of it and deeply honoured Minister. I think it's a thing that we can follow in other areas of technology that are knowledge-led. So that was great. And it was very inspiring to see the number of applications that came into the fund. We were overwhelmed, as Adam said, 150, and they were good. We'd been, I don't know what we thought, we'd sort of maybe thought we'd get maybe up to 50, but not 150. We thought probably the top 20 to 25 would be good, but not the large number that were good. It was humbling, it was inspiring, and gives me great hope for the future of exactly what the Minister wishes to achieve. So thank you for those who submitted. They were good applications, and I know it takes time and effort to write grant applications. I've done a lot of it in my time, and they were good ones. That said, there are a few big and important things we can learn from the exercise. That we did see that the very top applications, the ones you'll hear about today, had engaged very early with the clinical side of the activity. We discovered very important that people who are going to be successful in the medical devices world, as is Cochlear, from the very start, have both the clinical and the technological and the commercial sides all working together and all talking to each other and all working well. You don't often hear that's a thing that I think needs to be emphasised. Also to emphasise is that something you do hear more often, and Chris touched on it when he spoke for welcoming us here to Cochlear. Medical devices funds, medical devices industry participants have to remember they're playing in a global space. And from day one has to think globally and think about the market and the size and think about building the business appropriately. And there's more to be done in that area, we discovered in looking at the applications. But it's clear there's real excitement generated by this fund here in New South Wales and real envy in other states. Always in a nasty way, quite pleasing. And that said, when we're talking about other states, Adam, I do need to speak to you afterwards. My first degree is from the University of Queensland in physics, and I spent a lot of my time watching that pitch and hoping I'd be there to see it drop. Remember some of the dreadful stories. One last thing I want to say about the actual applications. One thing that inspired me as an engineer and scientist is that many of them are drawing on the really latest areas of science and some of the areas where New South Wales is very strong. For example, in nanomedicine. There's some great strengths here in that area. We have enormous strengths in big data and big data processing, and in bioinformatics and part of the genomics revolution. All of those areas are strong here, as was highlighted by Peter Wills and the team on the review of medical and health research. And it's good to see that coming into the fund, and we expect and hope we'll see more. Minister, as well as embarrassing you by telling you what a great fund it was and how interestingly directed it was, can I say thank you for such a great panel. It was a real delight working with Neville, Bob, Michael and Adam. It was tough. And I think sometimes we wondered if we'd get there, but it's an absolutely crack team, and it was just a delight. They're wonderful people and very good judges on panels. We were also helped by those who helped with the enormous shortlisting of that big number. Chris Armstrong, Ben Smith, Stephen Thompson and Anne O'Neill from a variety of government agencies worked hard. We drew on expert help from Commercialisation Australia and O'Connell Advisory. They were great in helping us. We had a wonderful secretariat headed by Dr. Tony Penner and Anne O'Neill and Amy Cohen. And we were particularly guided by the Chief Health Officer, my colleague Dr. Kerry Chant. And so we were very, very lucky in the support. And finally, congratulations to the winners. We were deeply impressed. Thank you.